Hey, what's up, everyone? My name's Lionel. I'm your host for L2 Productions, and you are watching I Watch You Watch. We are covering one of my favorite shows, Zatima, on BET Plus. We're streaming every Thursday morning. Some people get it at 3 p.m. in the morning, and I think some other places, but every Thursday. We're back for season 3B. Episodes 11 and 12. I think I'm going to be able to fit all of it all on one video, but if not, then we'll just have two videos. But I appreciate everyone for coming to my channel. Please like this video. Also, you can subscribe to my channel and leave your comments below. Now let's get into these episodes. Okay, so we begin where we left off in part A of this season. Zach has now been arrested for the murder, or the unaliving, sorry, I'm on YouTube, of Jeremiah. What's her name? Deja. She's thinking that the cops are coming for Fatima for after what she did to her apartment and all that good stuff. But you don't really, you do. Okay, so she did vandalize your home. I think that's a more civil suit and maybe criminal, but to go to jail for that, I don't know. I'm not saying that her crime was, it just didn't seem that big of a deal. But while the cops are taking him away, I think it was showing a little bit of the foreshadowing of what was going to happen in jail while he's there. You see them kind of like manhandle him, and he wasn't really needed to be manhandled. He was willing to go. So as they're putting him in the car, Deja's like, no, you got the wrong person. I called for Fatima. Fatima's sitting here arguing with Deja. See, officer, you need to arrest her right now. Fatima's like, I'm tired of going. Fatima's yelling and all this stuff. It's not a good sight as to how Deja's trying to instigate something more. So she said, look, as soon as you drop him off, you come pick her up and all this stuff. Fatima said, I ain't got time for this. So she goes back in her house and slams the door. She calls Angela, gives her an update of what's going on and all this good stuff. Later on, we're going to see Angela go with Fatima to the jailhouse. But before we go there, let's get over to Miss Belinda's home. Nathan comes in, and Belinda's basically like, what's going on? Where's my rent money? Because Nathan was like, look, he's okay or whatever, but I didn't get any rent money. You didn't try to get it off of him? No, you need to go up there and get my rent money. You can't blah, 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 blah. Later on in the episode, you see Nathan, he has gone to the barbershop. And of course, Tony's there. And I forgot the old man's name, but he's there, and they're talking about, he said, Nathan said that he stayed there all night. And Tony was like, are you sure? He said, because he was like, I stayed there all night because Tony was trying to reach him to see what was going on. And he said he didn't have any reception in the hospital. So he said, well, can you check your messages and all that? And it basically said that, I don't know how they found that out, but that he was only up there for 45 minutes. He ended up saying it. But he did say that Connie stayed up there at least the most of the night or whatever, so. Tony said, cool, I'll just talk to her later. We'll get back. Well, we can go. We can stay there right there. So the guy of the barbershop, who I thought was Tony's dad, but I guess not. He ended up saying, y'all went viral on social media with that fight. And at the end, he said, that Jeremiah is unalive. They said, what? So, of course, they didn't know any of that. They didn't know that Zach was in jail at the time. I know somebody was already online saying, if they're his boys, why aren't they there for him? Zach's boys, why aren't they there for him? But it's like, I get what they're saying, but Nathan has a charge. Tony could go up there, but Tony's trying to get some more information. All he's hearing is secondhand information from dude, and we already know that Connie stayed there, and we haven't been hearing from her as of yet. So what's up? Bryce and Preston, they are waiting on Preston, or they're waiting on Zach so they can sign this paperwork and all that. Bryce is trying to say, you got my signature, I have your signature, da-da-da-da. We need that signature. It look like we should go on and proceed. And Preston's like, no, we're not proceeding on nothing. I need everybody accounted for, and we need to have a talk and all that good stuff. And, of course, they're trying to figure out where is he at. Preston's like, this has got to stop. What's got to stop? Him disappearing or not being able to be reached, basically, and all that, especially if we're going to be in business together. Bryce agrees to that and all that good stuff. Preston ends up calling Fatima, who is now at the jailhouse. Or no. Bryce goes over to Zach and Fatima's home. Deja comes out, and of course, being the nosy neighbor that she is, she says that they're not there, and ends up saying that Zach is in jail for unaliving a man named Jeremiah. And then he says, what? Well, Jeremiah is his brother. And Deja's like, what? He did all that? Yeah. So at this point, Preston calls Fatima, and she's at the jailhouse. And he just tries to get a rundown, of what's going on and wanting to be assistance. Because he's like, Fatima says, I'm down here. I got a lawyer to get me in. Preston was like, you think that she could help me out to get in to see him? And at this point, Fatima was like, I can handle this. I think if we look at how things are, the storytelling and the dynamics, some people are just thinking that the friend should rush to his aid. There's your intermediate family, which is Zach and Fatima, Michael, and baby Taylor, and Karen's baby. Y'all don't want to acknowledge it, but until something happens over there on Sisters, that baby's still there. What was I going to say? And I think that they are a family unit, and then you go outside of there, and they're Connie and Tony and Nathan. They are the next circle around family. So when y'all are saying that, they need to be there, the boys need to be there, it's only so far that they can go within this intermediate family. And I think we got to accept that. So Fatima was like, look, I can handle it. And Fatima said, you're right. Just let me know how I can help in any way. Sure. Angela comes back. She gets a call from Bryce, but she's ignoring it. And Fatima's like, it's okay if you call. She's like, no, I'll call him later. Zach gets a visit from a lawyer. And she said, Fatima got me in here because he's like, I didn't order any lawyer as of yet. Fatima's the one that got me in here. So he actually is Fatima here. And she said, yeah, I'll go get her. So the lawyer goes and gets Fatima, and they have a long-waited talk. Fatima says, was it all worth it? Zach immediately feels crushed, and he feels judged. But what do you mean, was it worth it? Yeah, it was worth it. I was protecting my family. And Fatima's like, you didn't have to. I was fine. It got kind of intense because she's like, I've been dealing with your ish, and I can't do it anymore. And Zach was like, so you're leaving me? It's done? She doesn't answer directly. She just says, I got to think about my baby. And Zach was like, it's our baby. Because it's like, you threw your life away. You threw it away. What the silent thing that Zach will not say. He's covering up as he wanted to protect his family. Because he's like, what else was I supposed to do? Because Fatima's like, you didn't consider me. I asked you not to do this, and you still did this. She was okay. What's going on is that the bigger beating, or the bigger cause as to why he really went after Jeremiah, is because he's one of his triggers. That was his bully. That was his Achilles heel. If you remember when he did the beatdown, he said, I have been waiting to do this to you. Not because of Fatima. Ego was in the way, but also it was his excuse to go after Jeremiah as he's wanted to, because it's been years and years and years and years of pileup, of manipulation, deception, guilt, guilting him into stuff, blackmailing, all this other stuff, and dysfunction that he decided to get out on him. And I'm sure if he could have, but he would never hit a woman. All that compiled into what Mama Gladys and what he's had to deal with Jeremiah this whole time was piled up in that. But nobody wants to acknowledge that for real, as far as the fans, and Zach don't want to acknowledge that either. But it's him not being able to deal with his triggers is what has landed him to where he is now. So Fatima, Zach cries, and Fatima's like, your tears can't save him. Like, because last season he was just tearing up and crying and all this stuff, and it eventually got her back in the house. She wanted to teach him a lesson, but Like, bruh, not this time. So Fatima gets up and shuts the door. Of course, she's crying. It's not an easy decision for her to make, but she thinks that this is the best decision for her and any progression that she's got going on. So, episode 12. It begins where Preston, I think Fatima comes home. Preston comes to see her, and they talk a little bit about Zach. You know, Fatima's just not with it. Like, I really got to be done with this situation. I can't keep doing this. Preston wants to talk to Zach, and she ends up giving the number of the lawyer that got her in. Now, as people are fighting online about should Tony or somebody go into jail, if Fatima had to pull some strings to get into jail, how do you think that was supposed to happen for other folks that don't have any strings with the judicial system? Now, of course, and so Preston's going to get in there. Now, this is what happened beforehand. This happened in episode 11. These cops, they're quite slick and crazy, and they wanted Zach, to snap and to confess. And he's like, I'm not saying nothing. They were trying to go after one of his triggers. They didn't know it was his trigger, but it was a trigger. When he starts talking about his mom, like, how would she feel knowing that you did this to your brother? He said, don't talk about my mother. Da 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 da. And he was ready to fight. He said, let me out of these handcuffs, and you can see what I can do. So their way of trying to get information out of Zach is totally crazy anyways, and just wanted him to trigger him to spark up some anger out of him. So anyways, Angela, she goes and visits Deja. She fills her in on what's going on with Zach. Now that she knows that Zach has unalived Jeremiah, Belinda's got a smirk on her face and just glad for this is happening. And glad it happened to Jeremiah. He stole my rent money. Look, eventually it was going to happen anyways. That stuff, it does break my heart, because isn't that how we really go about life, though? Especially people that deal with substance abuse. We will basically count them out. They're going to die off eventually. Like, don't nobody want to be bothered with them. They want them to leave them alone. I'm not saying that these people that are addicted to whatever aren't dealing with anything. They're not annoying. They're not a huge weight. But to sit up there and just look over them just like you would look over a homeless person. That's the way that Belinda has it in her mind about Jeremiah, and also she loves the mess. Angela calls it out and says, you really love the mess. What? Well, you love it too? And Angela's like, no, she doesn't. Somebody online said, yes, she does. I don't think that Angela loves this drama, at least for her friend. I think she loves it for herself, as far as the Bryce stuff, even though it was still a surprise to know this type of kinks that he has in the bedroom, but the different men that she wants to entertain. To just say that she loves all of this drama that's happening in Fatima's life, I don't think so. Because there's no way that you're going to, that's a double agent, but that's too much energy. If you're sitting up here enjoying it and then trying to tell Fatima are you sure you really want to do this? Like, this is a lot, da 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 da. That's her go-to line, this is a lot, da 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 da. So it looks like Angela's finally coming to the conclusion as to what Fatima's been trying to say about what Belinda really stands for, and that she's about mess and craziness. But it's like, well, Belinda, you are crazy. You mean to tell me a one-night stand got you crazy over this man, Zach? One time. He did it that well? Whatever, you are crazy. So Fatima shows up, and of course she has nothing to say to Belinda. Belinda, hi, as she should. Finally, Belinda leaves, and Fatima's like, I don't even know why you keep hanging around her. And just like, I'm starting to understand. I know, da 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 da. Bryce ends up calling, but that was before Fatima got there. But Bryce ended up calling saying, can we talk later? And she said, yeah. Now, Bryce knows at this point from Preston as to what's going on with them, with Zach. So Bryce wants to go down to the police station, and Preston's like, you really want him to face more charges? He's like, I want to help, because he started blaming himself for how Zach crashed out. Zach, and Preston's like, you can't, that's not your responsibility, that's not on you. It's a grown man. Because he's like, well, if I didn't do what I did with the money, he wouldn't have that much stress. Stress is, is the least of his problem. It's an addition to what's really going on with Zach. He's experiencing a living nightmare, meaning, well, he's chasing ghosts. Well, maybe not chasing ghosts. He is now having to face what he's never faced before. Dealing with trauma. And it's not easy. It's not easy. It's not easy. Zach has come a long way. There's still stuff stuck back there that pulls him back into a mentality that he's got to let go of. And that's all it is. You know, people just act like he's just... I know how Zach probably just feels. And then if Zatima just turns her back, it's going to be like, I lost everything. You know? It'll be like, I am the failure that everyone has been telling me. But anyways, Bryce and Preston, they go down to the jail cell. Bryce really thinks he needs to go up in there, and Preston like, look, let me go up in there and I'll let you know what's up. You know, tell him that we are... No, Preston said, no, I'm not here to tell him anything. I'm here to listen. So Preston goes in there and talks with him. Zach says, you know, I need you to get all my money from Bryce and give it to Zatima. He said, cool, I'll do that, blah, 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 blah. You know, Zach is kind of feeling lost, but it feels like at this point he's defeated, like he, at this point, ain't even talking about a lawyer or whatever. Because Preston was like, don't you want to save a little bit for your defense? He said, look, I did what I did, and I'm just going to have to face the consequences of all this, da-da-da-da-da. But he says, could you go to Zatima, and I'm going to call you because I really need to speak to her. Preston said, okay, cool. All right, so on the other end of town, the boys are talking. Well, no, Connie. Connie first comes to Zach and Fatima's home. They're not there, of course, and then, of course, Deja got to come out and just say, they're not there. And she starts talking about, you know, that he is in jail for the unaliving of Jeremiah. And she's like, wait, I'm confused. What? Was it by Deja or possibly Preston? I don't know. Whatever. So, Deja calls Tony. Tony's like, you know, I've been trying to reach out to you. Like, what's been going on? She's like, well, I was getting rest and all this stuff. Now, Tony made, not an implication, but he said something about Connie in the last episode. Do you remember Tony saying, you know, that Connie's been tired a lot lately and she's been sleeping a whole lot. That's an indication something medical is going on with Connie. As I was just suggesting when all of this hair was falling out all of a sudden, I was like, that's not from the fight. How you have a bald spot and then you still pulling out other braids? No, something else is going on. But anyways, they kind of touched bases, and she's saying, because Tony's telling her that Jeremiah is dead. And she's like, wait, what? I'm confused about something. I'm gonna call you back. Preston comes. Deja was ready to leave, but her car wouldn't start. She had asked Connie had asked Deja, could she get a jump? And she said no. So Preston comes. I don't know why he was parking around the corner, but whatever. He comes around the corner and she said, you know, can you give me a jump? He said, sure. Fatima shows up and he brings his phone. He got Zach on the phone. I think he was going to get his cables, but they came back without them. And he said that Zach is on the phone. And Fatima said, no, I can't deal with that. I don't want to, da-da-da-da-da-da-da. So then Fatima goes into the house after not taking the plea from Preston and Connie. Connie gets Preston's phone as Preston gave it to her, and they talk. Zach asks Connie to please take over the funeral arrangements because I know Fatima won't want to do it. She said, okay, da-da-da-da-da, I'll see what I can do, da-da-da-da-da. So then she goes up to the house and tells Fatima, hey, you know, Zach was saying that, you know, possibly you don't want to really, wants me to take over the funeral arrangements. And she was like, he don't think that I would do right by his mom, blah, 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 blah. It's not about that. So they have a woman-to-woman talk. And she's like, look, women carry on a lot, and what was the thing that really broke the camel's back as far as this? Fatima says she doesn't know if she can really continue on like this. I'm really fed up. Connie says that there's more that y'all got to do together. Then she asks Fatima to take a ride with her. She's like, I'm not coming in your ride, and I'm really not really into this. She said, please, just take a ride. They go up to the hospital and go to a hospital bed, and it's revealed that Jeremiah is still alive. So this bad, ugly rumor about Jeremiah being deceased was very messy. Even the cops said it being messy, and they had no proof, and they put him up in there and was treating him a little bit bad. You know, I thought it was going to go to the place of them beating up Zach while he was in prison or jail. I don't know. We don't know what the future holds in these episodes, but it's just like, because I was like, I don't think that Nathan would have left Jeremiah up there. Like, look, I mean, he didn't stay that long, but still, no. And I know that Connie would have said something. They would have ran to the house to say, Jeremiah is unalived, you know? Tony's still getting secondhand information. He was still trying to get information from Connie, who's actually up there at the hospital, so whatever. But that's all I have. I'm enjoying the season. The one thing I want, well, two things I want to say. The jokes in these last 2 episodes, if they didn't land, right now, it's a heavy storyline. Heavy. So the jokes weren't really landing. I know that we're trying to get some lightheartedness out of this, but I think at least these last 2 episodes did not need the humor because it wasn't landing for me. I think Preston serves a greater purpose on this show than he does on Sisters. I know people are like, well, you know, he's really meant for Danny. Look at it this way. Some people are temporary. Some people stay for a season, and some people are forever. I'm kind of thinking that Preston is a seasonal guy. He's a good guy. The Bible says some plant, some water, God gives increase. I think Preston was there to plant. Tony's there to water over there on Sisters. And God gives the increase. That's what I think. So, Zach needed somebody solid. I wonder how this is going to be conflict later on with Nathan. I don't know if he's going to... Look, we know how he is about Zatima, so I don't know how he's going to fall in line with Preston here. You know, Preston's not here to get in the way, but Preston's here to assist his friend as much as possible. It's not a competition to him. And I could see that being an insecurity and a problem for Nathan. But y'all can tell me your thoughts below. I'm glad that you're back, Zatima. I love this show. I won't say what I wanted to say, but I appreciate everyone for coming to my channel. Happy holidays. This is after Christmas. Happy New Year to you all. And you will see me next week if you're just viewing for Zatima. I have other things that are going on my channel. You can look at my playlist and just come aboard if you are new. But like this video, subscribe, and also leave your comments below. Until the next one, peace.